Boris Johnson speeds up the Huawei 5G ban, and we give you the latest update on the Brexit trade talks and the lockdown tier system. Hello everyone and welcome to the second video of the day. You might have heard a few months ago when the British government, announced that they were planning to ban Huawei 5G, and at the time I reported this on this channel, and a lot of people, including myself, were still quite skeptical. We said, we want action, not words, and then they confirmed the ban, put it in writing. Then obviously the first discussion was about the fact that it's going to take a long time, a few years, to even introduce it. But now the government have surprised China by bringing forward this ban as of next September. The whole thing will be banned, which is a very brave thing to do, considering how China are now lashing out in the world. First, it was President Trump in America who put the sanctions on China, and all the certain other Western countries weren't too happy about it. And now we have the British government doing this. It's all very confusing when it comes to the World Economic Forum and what they're planning to do, because they want to involve China in the Great Reset program with the environment and centralizing the economies around the world. But when you have places like Australia, the US, and now the UK getting together to obviously make a move against China, things are going to become slightly more complicated in the West. So the Telegraph reported that this ban, Culture Secretary Oliver Dowden announced that there's going to be a surprise report in the House of Commons to say that the installation of Huawei equipment in 5G will no longer be permitted sooner than we thought. The new cutoff date is going to be September 2021, which is brilliant. Now, the other thing that we've heard is that a lot of people were concerned about the alternative or lack of it. What are we going to do instead? Because people are skeptical when it comes to Huawei's 5G, and that's absolutely fair, especially because China is involved. But now the government and obviously businesses have been talking to others. So the digital secretary is also set to announce a £250 million diversification strategy in a bid to ensure that other companies are able to supply the same technology. This is according to CTAM, and this is a good strategy because it includes funding a trial with a Japanese telecoms provider, NEC, and creating a national telecoms lab. Not really sure about centralizing it, but that's just how things work these days. This will secure a research facility that will bring together operators, existing and new suppliers, and academia and government, everyone you could think of, just to provide the technology. Now, they said that we are also publishing a new strategy to make sure that we are never again dependent on a handful of telecoms vendors for the smooth and secure running of our networks. So regardless of that, because that's going to take some time, especially if you're going to diversify the whole kind of the technology that we have. But the good news is that the ban is happening sooner than I even expected, and China are already lashing out. In the next few days on this channel, I'll give you the reaction that we're going to have from Beijing. But it's Monday. We have received a lot of questions from the members of the channel on this, on Brexit, trade talks, and also the lockdown tier system. Let's go to the first questions. There are three questions on Brexit. So Andrew is talking about if Boris were to step down after getting Brexit done, would you like to see Elizabeth Truss to become the next Prime Minister? I think it would be a great reward for her work getting all the international trade deals. I am very much pro Liz Truss. She's one of the ironically least dramatic ministers, even though she's very sassy on Instagram. But she's just doing her work. She's not causing any drama, any trouble, and she's pretty sound. But it all depends on leadership, and becoming Prime Minister is also about being convincing. So I don't know if that she's going to be able to gather support as well as Boris Johnson did at the time. But she's definitely one of my favourites. Paul also is talking about, do you think no deal Brexit is still possible, or is Boris going to sell us out? So the issue with this is that it's not between no deal and a sellout. It's between three options. You've got no deal, which I still prefer at this point, an actual free trade deal with no political alignment, which is very, very difficult, and a politically aligned trade deal, which is membership without being a member of the EU. So there are three options. So it's not no deal, and any deal is bad. And it is still technically possible to get a good deal, but it doesn't mean that it's definitely going to be a sellout. I'm still, again, skeptical that we have to wait and see how the government reacts to it. So I'm not going to just predict anything at this point. We'll wait. Paula says, hi Maya, if they do achieve a Brexit deal, will they tell the general public what has been agreed, such as no ties to the EU, etc.? Yeah, so obviously, because of the international treaty, everything will be published. It has to be. They can't do any cover-ups. That's just how international treaties work. And it will be in the UK Parliament. They'll have to vote on it. And also in the European Parliament and the European Council, everyone has to vote on it. It will be published because businesses and industries need to be prepared for it. So David says, do you think that Boris will not blink at this stage of the EU negotiations? Both sides could still blink. The European Union have already blinked when it comes to EU Brexit fisheries. They wanted 100% access. They've already compromised and changed their mind on that. Boris could technically blink, but it depends what sort of blink are we talking about. Is it going to be a small, nonsensical compromise, or are we going to give in to the level playing field demands? We'll wait. Chris says, hello Maya, is there any way that lawyers for the illegal migrants can be denied public money the same way like legal aid, the same as the UK residents are denied it? Oh, of course not. They're going to get everything they want. That's just how international human rights rules work. They domestically, our own citizens, they don't matter these days. It's all about everybody else who's not from here. And this is the problem. It's a very, very unfair system that we have when it comes to justice and funding our judicial system. It makes no sense. Why is it not only they get the funding, and it's also that they get away with a lot of things because they use the European Court of Human Rights and obviously a number of other agreements done by the United Nations. It's just not fair. Everything has to change. Kaplan says, hello Maya, will Parliament vote on whether the lockdown tiers should happen or not? Yes, they will. And there is a massive wave against it right now from all parties now, Tory and Labour. It's just a matter of, are they going to have enough numbers? I'm still not convinced, but it's not even about winning the vote at this point. It's all about sending the message that the government know that Parliament, these MPs are finally representing the people. So the vote will come in the next few days and we'll give you an update on that. Stephen, hi Maya, are you confident that in Priti Patel being able to realise her ambitions to get an Australian-type migration system up and running and her attempts to reform the Home Office and civil service, seen as how much influence control the establishment have? So Stephen, on the first point, Priti has already confirmed, is now in writing, it is going to happen, the Australian point-based system for migration as of January. That's going to happen anyway. And the second one, probably not. Reforming the Home Office, it's not an easy thing to do. The whole thing, the whole swamp is just has been dominated by a bunch of arrogant and self-centered people who just are so out of touch with reality. This is why the rumours that in the next reshuffle they might send Michael Gove to either Health or Home Office, I'm fine with either, because someone like Michael Gove, with all his flaws, and some people don't trust him, he's an effective minister. He could actually drain the swamp. Danny says, oh, this is a good one. Hi Maya, Ash Sarkar tweeted something earlier this week that can quite easily be interpreted as an advocacy of localism. I found this quite surprising given that she is literally a communist, which usually involves the centralization of power. I previously thought that of localism as a right-wing philosophy, but after reading Ash's tweets, I've thought about this a little bit more and realized that this isn't necessarily the case. I'm largely in favor of devolved power that brings the accountability of our politicians and officials closer to the voter. With Brexit nearly complete, the momentum of our political landscape seems to be travelling in that direction. Do you think that there is or would be an appetite for this in Westminster? The last bit, no, absolutely not. There's no appetite for localism, decentralization. That's not how it works. Not in the West these days. Everyone's a control freak. Everyone wants to centralize everything. You've seen the World Economic Forum. On the first point, so Ash Sarkar is literally a communist, as in like as opposed to someone like Owen Jones, who's openly a control freak socialist. He does want to centralize everything, but the traditional ideology of Marxism and communism were always supposed to be to actually the ideal was to decentralize everything and have these tiny communities and societies and weird boards to run things instead of having one centralized power. The problem with communism and socialism is that because it never works, as in they can't force people to do good things that they want, then they're going to have to centralize everything. Their problem is that that's their perspective of not working. Localism, decentralization does work from a right-wing philosophical perspective because we provide a market-based economy and a voluntary system, so you just take care of your own family, your neighborhood, and your community and your business, and that's it. Whereas what the people on the left want to do, the original lefties, they also want to decentralize everything. They wanted to create this utopia of, no real power. Just be good, do good things, give half of your money to your neighbor. But then they realize, oh, no one's actually giving half the money to their neighbor, so they created centralized powers. This is a problem with the left. So I hope that answered the question. Kizzy says, hi Maya. Do you think that there is a north-south divide with the new tier level system coming into force this week? London is tier 2, but the whole of the Midlands and basically the north are tier 3. I'm basically leaving lockdown to enter lockdown up here in Derbyshire. Yes, Kizzy, it's been fascinating looking at the map. They keep talking about levelling up this government, but there's absolutely no logic behind. There's no explanation behind the new tier-based system, but there's going to be a review in 2 weeks' time. So let's hope they do it in a better way rather than making the whole of the map tier 3. So that will be even more depressing. I am going to talk about this tier-based system a lot on this channel in the next few days and weeks anyway. So the next one is, hi Maya. Here in Cornwall, we were in tier 1 before the lockdown and now returning to tier 1. So yeah, people hate you guys in Cornwall. You got your tier 1. Everyone's happy there. Yes, I'm not going to talk about that. After a 4-week lockdown, so it seems that there was no point to it at all. Oh yeah, because there was never going to be a tier 0. Everyone was going to be in some sort of tier. They're never going to let everybody be happy and be free. So I keep hearing about the north-south divide on the tier system, and I can understand people's concerns. But do you think that Cornwall was put in lockdown so that everyone else in the country could be kept happy? Our pubs and restaurants were open to a huge number of visitors. That's interesting. I mean, as a theory, I don't think that's the reason they did it. It's just because they, as a country, it's not that they wanted to keep the others happy. They wanted to control everyone at the same time, equally almost, especially with the nationwide lockdown. There are a number of other areas in the country, because they're remote. There are hardly any cases. It's like 0. But they can't just randomly keep it open. Again, not to keep the others happy or not make them sad, but it's because it will be chaotic to control the situation. This again goes back to what Ash Sarkar said. The problem with centralization is that it becomes so complicated and bureaucratic they can't even control it themselves. The whole thing's a mess, basically. As I said, I will be scrutinizing the whole system in the next few days and weeks on this channel, especially as we're getting closer to the end of the Brexit transition, so we're going to have other things to focus on as well. This is all the time we have for this week's questions. Thank you to all the members for sending the questions. If you want to become a member, check out the link in the description, because you also get a discount when it comes to our I Believe in Britain merchandise. So if you do believe in Britain, get your merchandise. The link is in the description as usual. Thanks again for watching. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys in the next video.